Hello everyone and welcome on board the Sunrise Safari. My name is Scott and I'm teamed up with Andrew on camera. We've got Jamie heading out on the other vehicle with Viam, I believe, and Jess is directing the show with Nikki lending her a hand. So that's the team involved. I know Stefan and Jandre are going to be heading out with both the backpack, which helps allow a feed from a walking unit, as well as the drone. So they're taking both the walking backpack and the drone out and they're going to play around with both of them. We're still trying to test them and get them working as they should be, which is not quite the case at the moment. So hopefully you'll get some shots of either Stefan on foot or some aerial shots from the air. And if any of you are joining for the first time, it's important to remember that this is a live safari. Sorry, I just saw some birds there, but they flew off, as they very often do. And not only is it simply a live safari, but it's also interactive. So please send through your questions, thoughts and comments using the hashtag SafariLive on Twitter, or by sending an email through to questions@wildearth.tv. Well, some of you have already sent us some updates, so thank you very much for that. I know John, Lady and Gala, Curious One, just to name a few, sent through reports that there was quite a lot of hippo activity at the Djuma waterhole last night. And it sounds like two hippos were having some kind of a standoff there. So thanks for those updates. Interesting that the hippos are moving around that waterhole quite a lot, even though there's not much or basically no water in it. And this is certainly much drier than it was at this time of year last year. So a much drier season, resulting in a lot of the waterholes being muddy balls of catfish swirling around. We had a wonderful night last night with Doug from Sibambili, and we went and joined him at Sibambili Dam, which is an area where we cannot sadly take you guys, but after hours we met him there for a catch-up, and you wouldn't believe who showed up at our gathering. None other than Tingana, the male leopard. We heard some water thickneys alarm calling, as well as Egyptian geese. Shone the spotlights, and there he was drinking at the dam about 40 meters away from us. And he continued to spend about an hour and a half there, moving around, vocalizing, evidently enjoying our company. We certainly enjoyed his, but sadly he was quite far west of us, and I don't think he is going to be coming back to Djuma anytime this morning. But did have a wonderful evening out there and did get to see one of the stars of our show. He is the dominant male leopard, whose range extends over basically both Arathusa, the one property that we can traverse, and Djuma. But even though he may not be around this morning, hopefully there'll be some other leopard in the area, or lion. Failing that, there's lots of other animals that we can see along the way. Very good. Just going to pull over on the side here to show you some tracks. And I'm not sure if you can see them clearly. Yeah, that looks good. Just over there. Now that is a track of what looks like a lioness walking towards us. So I'm just going to jump out quickly and try and work out how many tracks there are exactly, but before I do that I'm going to turn the vehicle around and try and work out exactly where they've gone. I also saw some tracks of a buffalo running over that junction that we just passed by, and I thought, I wonder if a lion was chasing it, and then a few seconds later the lion tracks appeared. So good prospects already. Just want to work out how many lion I think are here, and if it is in fact a lioness. Sometimes takes need for a closer inspection. Oh no, these look like they could actually be males, so that's good news. Maybe a male and a female. You wouldn't believe it. But if we just look a little bit ahead of us to our left, you'll see who we are looking for. So that was probably one of the easier sequences of tracking that I've done. Hello boys. And I guess just because I was very close to the vehicle, they didn't run off. But there we have it. It looks like the Birmingham boys. No buffalo in sight, but lots of big male lions. Beautiful, look at this. Can you believe it? Stations located the Birmingham Coalition. They are lying up on Zoe's, about 20 meters north of Ballinati's junction, all 5 of them. The important thing to remember when tracking is to always look up. So thankfully I did have a quick look up there, otherwise things could have turned out very differently. But you can often get so absorbed in looking down for the footprints. And if you do that, you could stumble right on top of the animals you're looking for. Looks like they've had a busy night. They've moved a huge distance. Yesterday they were seen far north on the boundary of the Kruger National Park. So the fact that we have found their tracks coming from our southern property, southern portion of Djuma, makes it kind of strange and hard to add up, because you'd expect their tracks to have been heading in a southerly direction coming from the north. I'm just going to give another quick update on the radio, because it doesn't appear that Taxon or Aubrey heard that last one. And before they head too far in the wrong direction, Aubrey and Tax, the Birminghams, 5 of them are on Zoe's, just north of Ballinati's. Can anybody copy me on this channel? Well, my mother was watching as we found those lion, and she's panicking a little bit. Don't worry, Mom. As you saw, the lions were very, very disinterested in me waltzing about, and I think that was because I was still very close to the vehicle. But my heart did also skip a few beats when I looked up and saw one of them staring me down. I actually haven't spent too much time on foot or finding these animals on foot, so not too sure how their general reactions are, but it'll vary from day to day. Some days they'll be relaxed, some days they'll be angry. But I think after their huge movements that they made last night, They're all very tired. And it will be very interesting to know what went on and what caused them to move such massive distances last night. But all we will be able to read into is their tracks and signs on the ground. And there's some more of their big footprints. So clearly I was wrong when I saw that initial track that I thought was a lioness. As there's no lioness evident at the moment, but one could poke her head up at any stage. They look fairly full-bellied, not extremely so, but they're not starving. So I wonder when last they had a meal and what it was. They are extremely successful buffalo hunters. Their size and power allows them to take down that formidable prey species, and it often forms the main diets, especially of large coalitions of big males like this. The smaller, faster prey are harder to bring down for these big males, and also don't go around the table as well as a buffalo does. Our tracking sequence reminds me of tracking quarantine male leopard in the early months this year, and I jumped out the vehicle to see whether his tracks had crossed through Philemon's Dip in a small riverbed, and as I jumped out the car, he jumped out of a clump of reeds that he was resting in just a few meters away from us, and I think that happened live. Oh, bless you, Andrew.
Ah, thank you.
These are the joys of being on a live safari. There's no editing or hiding what goes on, like a double sneeze from Andrew there. Well, even though they're fast asleep now, they could get up and continue to move a little bit later on. Who knows, maybe they'll even vocalize for us, but hard to tell. Ideally what we need is a herd of buffalo to come walking past. That'll get their attention. Wouldn't that be nice, boy? A big buffalo for breakfast. Or is sleep more important for you right now? Whee! Now it's my turn to sneeze. Thank you. Now, for those of you who may be new to the show, these 5 males are coming into their prime, and when we were viewing them this time last year, or there and thereabouts, they were still flying below the radar. They weren't quite comfortable and content with their ability to dominate any territory. So they were free-ranging and actually moved off during the winter months. We didn't see them for about 6 months in total. They were far north of us in the Manyaleti Reserve. And in the last 2 months they've returned, but they've returned with a vengeance and with a very clear plan, and that is to make Djuma and surroundings their home. And in doing so, they have caused quite a lot of havoc. They've chased off the older two males who were dominant here, the two Matimba males, and they've fled to the south. We haven't seen them for quite some time now, but there may be a return for them to try and reclaim this territory, and an almighty battle could ensue. But for now it looks like they're not getting too much pressure from other coalitions just yet. But the territory that they've been moving through now is very large, probably 10 times the size of Djuma, or probably even more. So their territory is very large, and we don't get to see them all the time. So it's great to have them back on the property, and I really didn't expect to find them here this morning. They were so far north of us. But possibly they heard some other lions, maybe the Matimba males, vocalizing to our south and decided to come back and make sure they didn't come any closer onto Djuma. That's one possible theory. But for now they are doing what lions do best for the majority of their day. 16 to 20 hours they will spend sleeping. Just want to double check with Aubrey and Taxon that they copied my messages. Aubrey, did you copy my message about the Birminghams? Sorry, I've been trying to call you and Tax twice now. They're lying up on Zoe's just north of Balanites, all 5 of them. Okay, well that's good news. At least I finally got through to Aubrey and Taxon, the 2 guides here at Djuma. I just want to ask Aubrey one more update. He called in a herd of buffalo at the Djuma waterhole, I think, which we'll be easily able to get confirmation from the Djuma waterhole camera. But that's not too far away from here. And depending on what those buffalo do, they could keep coming in this direction. Well, Kevin and Lucy in South Bend, Indiana have both made a few remarks as to me being on foot just probably about 40 meters from these lions, and Kevin would like me to admit that I wet myself, and I have wet myself in the past, Kevin, but this morning was quite relaxed. And sorry, one second, let me just chat with Taxon quickly. Tax, you're more than welcome to make your way. We're on Zoe's Road, just north of Balanites Junction. Lucy mentioned that I was backtracking quite quickly, and yes I was, but the main reason why I was backtracking is because I didn't want to disturb the lions. And what will most often happen with even the biggest and most dangerous of animals that you encounter on foot is that they will run away. And I didn't want to wake up these lions from their slumber. So that was the main reason why I got back into the vehicle quickly. The one lion who was watching me didn't seem too concerned, and what would usually happen if lions were frustrated or not enjoying the presence of a human on foot, the reactions could be as follows. They could let off a low rumbling growl to make you aware of their presence. If you don't take heed of that, they may growl louder and also start flicking their tail from side to side and flattening their ears back behind their head. When a lion starts flicking its tail from side to side, it's best to stop in your tracks, or ideally start moonwalking very slowly, backwards. But the key when encountering the big cats, especially when they are aggressive and possibly charging you, is to always hold your ground. The moment you give in and run, you give them the psychological advantage and trigger mechanism to chase. A lot of prey, if they just worked out that simple formula to not run and stand their ground, it would bemuse and perplex lion, and they wouldn't know what to do. So they often need their prey to run in order to trigger that chasing mechanism. And by us standing our ground, we short-circuit their brains and make them think twice about approaching any closer. Also, clapping and shouting and waving your hands can be useful. But that certainly wasn't required this morning. All that was required was a brisk moonwalk back to the vehicle. Well, as you can all see, these lion don't appear to be going anywhere just yet. So we're going to send you across to Jamie's vehicle for an update, and we'll be waiting here for your return.
Oh, good morning everyone, and welcome to the sunrise safari. We just thought that we'd let you have a little bit of a listen to the bird noises that are surrounding us all around where we are on Aubrey's Road next to the hyena den. You can hear a Sterling's wren warbler, we can hear the black-headed oriole, there's starlings calling, and a black-crowned chagrin, so lots and lots of bird life out here. Now when VM and myself approached the hyena den, we found it to be very active. Unfortunately, the activity was not little hyena cubs playing around, but a combination of zebra and giraffe, which have now moved out into the road in front of us. It's the same zebra herd that we had yesterday with that stallion with the very pale legs that the stripes hardly even touch his feet. Oh, I can hear the hyenas. Can you hear them? So can the zebra. There's that stallion that I was talking about with the lack of stripes down the legs. Definitely an interesting trait. I wonder if the hyena are on their way back, because he also heard them up to the northeast of us. I'm going to shift fractionally forward so we can get a better view of the rest of the herd, some of whom have inherited his strange stripe pattern. Oh, the hyenas have been out last night. They were doing something on Buffelshoek Hook. They're very close to the cut line now, judging by those contact calls. Now it becomes a question of whether we go and see them there, or try and see them there, or whether we wait here and let them come to us. Just going to let the stallion follow on with his herd first. There he goes. Now I mentioned yesterday about the quagga, which is an extinct species or subspecies of plain zebra. A zebra that looks almost like a half zebra, half horse. with stripes only on the front end. And evolutionary biologists think that it was zebras like these in very small populations that eventually led to the creation of the quagga as a subspecies of plain zebra. Interesting. And are now unfortunately extinct. Although I do know of a breeding program in the Western Cape that is trying to recreate them by picking up zebra just like that one and then selectively breeding for that lack of stripes on the rear end. And how amazing is it that Scott just happened to bump into those Birmingham boys? It's great news. It's good to have them back on Djuma once again, especially considering they were all the way on the Kruger Park boundary when we last spoke on the Sunset Safari. They definitely cover some ground, those boys, much like our zebra herd has just done. Alright, well, our zebra herd has disappeared into the block, and I want to go and see if I can follow up on whatever those hyenas are up to, or have been up to on Buffelshoek. So for now, let's head back to Scott and his beautiful view of the Birmingham boys, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. And isn't it interesting that Jamie went out in search of hyena, but found a zebra and giraffe? So that's another example of how you never know what you're going to bump into out here. There's a lot of low-level clouds surrounding us, creating for quite a moody scene here. As you can see, nothing's changed with the Birmingham boys. And what we're going to need is, like I said a bit earlier, some buffalo or other large prey to come moving through this area if we do expect to see them move at all. Taxon, who's just joined us on the sighting, cannot believe how far they moved last night. He is astonished that they are here, and he was actually lucky enough to be with them. They weren't even in the Sabi Sands last night. They were actually being viewed from the northeastern corner of the Sabi Sands, but they were actually in the Greater Kruger National Park. And depending on what route they used to get to where they are this morning, they probably moved 5 to 8 miles, which is quite a big distance for lions to move in one night. And wouldn't it have been interesting to know what exactly they got up to? I think the way technology is going, hopefully we'll be able to soon have good night vision equipment where we can spend time with predators when they are most active at night, so that we can fill in the missing pieces of the puzzle. So that is something to look forward to in the future. Because currently, with the way we're operating, we spend far more time with sleeping cats than with moving ones, and therefore we often sit and hypothesize while they sleep as to what they have been up to or what they will get up to in the future. But I'm hoping that one day we'll actually be able to see it rather than simply discussing it. You can hear a bird calling non-stop. That is a crested barbet. It's not extremely close, it's quite a loud call, but that's the noise you'll hear consistently around us. Now, I've mentioned that these lions are up and coming and approaching their prime, but BB on Twitter would like to know, when will they be in their prime? When will we see large full manes? Because at the moment they're not quite there yet. And it depends with the individual lions, and a big reason or part that plays a role in their mane development is when they become dominant. There's a lot of testosterone and hormones pumping through their body, so there's a lot of different variables, but I'm thinking within the next year we will see them looking at their best. These guys are all in and around the 5-year age brackets. One is slightly older, 3 are the same age, and one is slightly younger, but all within probably a year of one another and all around the 5-year ballpark. Some of you may remember seeing the Salati males not so long ago. They're 8 years old and they are looking beautiful, so they still have some growing to do. And it's going to be wonderful to see them develop into big full-maned lions. In terms of coloration of their mane, that will depend on their genetics. Not all lions will develop a very large dark mane, and I guess even if we look at the 2 Matimba males who these 5 males chased off, they look considerably different to one another. One's mane stretches far down its belly and is quite dark, and the other one has got quite a ginger mane. So it'll be interesting to see how they do turn out, BB, but only time will tell. Well, I did mention that those 2 Matimba males have moved quite deep into the south of the Sabi Sands, and Sherry in Los Angeles has provided us with quite a lot of information, so thank you for that. And that is that they have set up shop on a property called Londolozi, where they have started terrorizing, is the word that Sherry used, the Salala pride. And in terrorizing, I think they're just getting to know one another, but that's the way lions do it. There's going to be a lot of toing and froing and getting to know one another, and that's usually quite vocal and possibly aggressive. And it's normal behavior, Sherry. When any male lion comes into a new area, there's going to be a bit of an upset scenario. They're going to chase off the other dominant males who were there. I'm not sure who the dominant males were in Londolozi. And one thing we must remember is that nothing is set in stone just yet. These males certainly haven't fully secured this area, and it could change at any stage. The Matimba males who we're talking about now on Londolozi could get more pressure from the Majingilans, a coalition of 4. So there's a lot of unsettlements and unrest at the moment, and that could very well change. But for now, yes, they are on Londolozi. They are spending quite a lot of time around there, but I think they could return at any stage, especially if they get pressure from other males. But in the meantime, they are making friends with their new pride of ladies in that area, which is the Salala pride. I think it will be a portion of the Salala breakaway pride, possibly. It's a pride of 13 lions, at least it was when we last saw them. But there are 2 different portions. There's the official Salala pride as well as the Salala breakaway pride that's split up. So I'm not sure which one they are getting to know, but certainly interesting stuff, and it'll be interesting to monitor their movements going forward. I guess I've just answered Clay's question because he was interested to know whether the Matimbas would ever return to Djuma. And I think there certainly is a strong chance they will. What can often and does often happen with large coalitions like this one here, once they have established any given territory, because there are so many of them, they usually manage to establish quite a large territory. And once they have done that, you'll find that they often split up into smaller groups so that they can divide the tasks of patrolling this massive territory. And in dividing their numbers, there will also be a few weaknesses, because if there's just 2 of them that are patrolling the southern portion of their territory, maybe the Matimba males will catch wind of this and come and try and challenge them, and 2 Matimbas versus 2 of these younger males would be a very interesting battle. The Matimba males have got far better protection by their large manes that will aid them greatly in a battle, whereas these guys who have yet to develop very large helmets or protection for fighting may get caught up. Not only that, but you'll find the Matimba males are probably far more experienced in fighting with other males, and that experience might help them to shift the tables that they would require to come across these guys when they are not all together. Oh, so I wonder what that male has seen or has caught his attention. Can you see anything up there, Andrew?
It sounded like branches were breaking.
Okay, so Andrew seems to think some branches were breaking up ahead. I'm trying to poke my head around the corner to see if there is in fact anything up ahead. Oh, you wouldn't believe it. There's a buffalo up ahead. Can you believe it? Awesome. I'm just going to roll back a bit. This is exactly what we wanted chatting about earlier. And we are bound to see some action here. I'd be highly surprised if this doesn't result in some kind of action. Oh, it's a big buffalo bull. I wonder how many of them there are. It's just up ahead there, and if you look in that clump up ahead there, you'll see him shaking his head from side to side. Further to the left, unless you've got another one there. Is that another one you got there? There could be more than one. Yeah, that's another one that Andrew's got there. Well done. Come on, lions. Now the wind is swirling, but it appears that it's blowing from us towards the buffalo, which means from the lion towards the buffalo. So there's a strong chance that they are going to catch wind of these lion, and if and when they do, they're probably going to stampede off. But let's see what happens here. It won't be the first buffalo that these lion bring down live. With some of you watching, some of you will remember in November last year, Peter Pretorius was in the fortunate position to be actually watching this coalition feed on a buffalo that they'd killed the night before. It was in the afternoon, a sunset safari. And another herd of buffalo came stumbling upon their meal, and they left the buffalo cow that they were feeding on and managed to take down a younger calf. See, I think the one buffalo whose head we've just seen poke out to the left there, Andrew, the one on the left, I think he's caught wind of these lion. He's holding his head up. You see how he's sniffing the air? And he's going to come closer and possibly even investigate and see where these lion are. He may not just run off blindly, but he's definitely caught wind of them. Isn't this wonderful to see? And I can show you, lions do not smell very strong. I mean, I very seldomly drive around and smell lions, and it gives you an idea of how sensitive these buffalo's sense of smell is. And we often forget as humans how powerful animals' senses are. Ours are pretty hopeless. That buffalo knows something's up. The lion aren't reacting as I would have hoped they would, as you can see. But that could change. I mentioned earlier that they weren't looking extremely hungry. But as I told you that story about Peter from November last year, they had been busy feeding on a buffalo that they got up and left the table in order to make another kill. So they will be highly opportunistic. One thing that may have happened is that they may have already been chasing around some buffalo, possibly even the same herd last night. Oh, here he comes. Look at this. This is so awesome. Well, be careful, Mr. Buffalo, because I don't think you know who you're dealing with here. This is not the Nkahuma pride that you can sometimes bully and have bullied. We've seen the Nkahuma pride get showed up on a number of times by big buffalo bulls. But these 5 boys are very different to the Nkahuma pride with the power that they possess. I'm almost certain the one lion that does have its head up can see the buffalo. Maybe he's just, well, if he couldn't earlier, I'm sure he's going to be able to now. Come on, guys. I'm just trying to imagine if I was lying on the ground next to where the lions are, whether I'd be able to see that buffalo, and yeah, I should certainly have a visual of it. I'm sure a lot of you are fascinated as to the fact that this buffalo is not just running off away from the potential danger, but that's a sign of his wisdom. He will know that just because you can smell the lion in one direction doesn't necessarily mean that the rest of the pride or coalition haven't looped around and encompassed you. So to just run off blindly wouldn't be a clever move. It's better to assess where the threat is and then make plans as how to deal with it thereafter. Still holding his head up high, testing the air. Look at those nostrils of his, flaring them as wide open as they possibly can be. The oxpeckers on his back don't seem too perturbed, and they are just going about their business, feeding on the parasites. There's another one. I wonder how many are in this small herd. I saw about 10 or 15. Oh, this is looking better, Andrew. Here we go. Here we go. Morning, everyone. Time to wake up, boys. Come on. This guy doesn't know what's going on, but at least the other 4 members of the coalition seem to have an idea. But not looking hugely interested in it. We just need one of them to get up. I'm sure the rest will follow suit. I'm just going to get my camera out and ready in case any action does unfold. But for now, I can't be sure what is going to happen next. as I would have expected them to have done something by now. Hello Mars in Tucson, Arizona. And good to have you on board with us. Mars is interested to know how many other male coalitions would the Birmingham boys have had to traverse through in order to get to this area, and kind of who will they be in contact with in their movements. Well, when they were further north of us in the Magnoleti, there was apparently, or there is apparently, a coalition of 9 male lions called the Skybed males, so there's a chance they may have run into them. There's also the 2 Salati males, which occur further north of us, mainly in the Magnoleti, but we did get to see them briefly a couple of weeks ago. Come on, lions, surely. Just going to reverse a little bit more to get a slightly better angle. But now that they are in this area, Mars, there's probably the Matimba males that they came across and chased off out of this area. The Majingi lions is another coalition that they could come across at some point. So those will be the main coalitions in this area that they're going to need to be careful of or possibly bump into. But further north of us in the Magnoleti, because we don't get to traverse there, I'm not entirely sure what happened in the 6 months that they were away, basically during the winter. Probably a big reason why they did also head into the Magnoleti during that period was that there's large numbers of buffalo there. Huge herds, some of the largest herds in the Kruger National Park occur there, and that's because there's some wonderful open crests with large open grasslands where there's a lot of good food for buffalo, and these 5 males like feeding on buffalo, although it wouldn't appear to be the case this morning. The guests on Taxon's vehicle are equally as bemused as we are. When I saw that buffalo initially, I thought we were in for some action. But for now, it's not looking hugely promising. That could change though at any moment. And remember how I was saying earlier, when animals run off, it kind of triggers that chasing mechanism. Now that they're standing their ground, the lions aren't getting that mechanism triggered. So that could be a contributing factor. And maybe when they do stampede off, or if they do at any stage, that will get the lions into action. Well, one of our zoomies who controls the Juma waterhole cam, called Siberia, has asked a good question and would like to know what are the chances of this bachelor herd of buffaloes coming in and chasing these lions. Well, there is a small chance. It's more common though for larger herds of buffalo to rally their troops and chase off lion, and it's most often when lions have actually managed to bring down one of the members of their herd. So even though it is likely, or it is possible, I don't think they would come stampeding much closer than where they are now. The buffalo, I think, will be able to see the lion. Well, yeah, they'll definitely be able to see the lion from where they are. I think they're just going to be happy to keep an eye on them, but if these lions were trying to pull down a big buffalo, what the buffaloes would do is bellow out loudly, and that bellowing call will attract the attention of the rest of the herd, who will very often run in valiantly to try and save the unlucky victim, and they can be hugely successful in doing so. Come on, lions, this is embarrassing. Just been telling such good stories about how mean and tough you are and how well you can hunt buffalo, and then this is what we get. Well, we've got two different views have come through. One from Edward. Edward wants his buffalo to get a little bit closer to the lion, and Jennifer has just mentioned that the buffalo should stop tempting fate. Certainly, well, I was on the lion side. I'm losing major hope in them, but we very seldom get to see action, and lions taking down a large Cape buffalo is one of the ultimate showdowns to see in the African bush, and one that I've only seen a handful of times in all the years that I've been out here. So I am rooting for the lion. I'm not sure what you guys think. You can let us know whose team you're on. I'm on Team Sleepy Lion, but I'm sure a lot of you will be rooting for the buffalo so that they get to live another day. But at some point in time in the near future, these lions will need to eat again. There's no way around that, and I'd much prefer us to be around when they do secure their next meal than only hear stories about it. That oxpecker doesn't realize that these buffalo are very focused on the lion and don't need their pesty persistence digging for ticks in and around their eyes and ears. Buffalo is shaking its head there, saying, "Leave me alone, I'm concentrating." This is an interesting comment that's just come through from Bibi. She's sitting on the fence. She doesn't want the lion to catch a buffalo, but she would like to see them chasing one. So I guess that would be better than nothing, Bibi. And not a bad angle to look at it from. I'm generally all or nothing, sadly. But I do see your point. But like I said earlier, we can't hide from the fact that in order for these lions to live, death needs to occur on a fairly regular basis. And the spectacle of lions hunting buffalo is one that we don't often get to see, and it's not an easy task. It's a dangerous task for the lion. They could get fatally injured when taking down this prey. These big Cape buffalo probably weigh at around 800 kilograms, 4 times the weight of these lions probably. The lions are probably around 200 kilograms. And those sharp horns can inflict a lot of damage to lion. Because nothing appears to be happening right here, we're going to shoot you across to Jamie's vehicle. She's found another predator that she would like to show you, and we'll be sure to rush you back if anything does change here.
Welcome back, and just a quick glimpse of this juvenile fish eagle who's sitting in his usual perch on the dead tree to the northeast of the dam. And every time he moves, he gets mobbed by a combination of lilac-breasted rollers and starlings. It's always a little bit of a short-lived affair, but we've just been watching him move from place to place. I'm going to see if he flies off again, if they're going to come back. The lilac-breasted roller is watching him very intently from the dead tree to the left of it, about halfway down. Just keeping an eye on him, waiting for him to fly so he can start mobbing him once again. Yesterday morning early, Andrew and I saw a fish eagle flying away with a young starling in his talons. So it's for good reason that the smaller birds are keeping an eye on his movements. Just because he's called a fish eagle doesn't mean he's just going to be eating fish. They will raid nests and they will attack smaller birds. But it's amazing to see how incredibly courageous the birds like the starlings and the drongos and the rollers can be. I'm going to shift forward a little bit to show you the roller. See if we can get a view of him. He's very, very close by, and he's watching him with greedy eyes. Ducked away. Oh no, he's still there. He is on that dead tree to the left, about halfway down, on the right. That dead tree closest to us. Down a bit. He's right on that little bit that sticks out to the right. There he is. Watching intently from his hiding place, waiting for another opportunity to strike. And this is almost definitely the same juvenile that we see at treehouse dams, this fish eagle. Surveying his parents' territory, in all likelihood. Still staying at home for now. I'm not sure what happened to the weather though. I thought it was going to be another bright sunny day, and it changed in the space of about 5 minutes. It's suddenly gone very cold and very cloudy and very windy. Okay, well, just a quick link to show you a beautiful fish eagle. I've also now discovered a lilac-breasted roller nest as well, which we can be keeping an eye on every time we come past here. because that roller is definitely nesting. So in the meantime, let's go back and see what those Birmingham boys are doing, who are busy looking at the buffalo but not doing very much, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
Well, hope you enjoyed your brief time with Jamie. The buffalo are completely at ease now and are even grazing on the fresh green grass, probably only 50 or 60 meters away from 5 potentially very dangerous male lions. Well, I think the key word here is potentially, because this morning it appears that these lions could well even be vegetarian. Now, Jenny's just sent through a question on Twitter, and she would like to know how good are buffaloes' eyesight, and would they rely more heavily on smell? Well, in this scenario, it was definitely smell that helped them to detect these lions. As I said, the wind was blowing from us towards the buffalo in a northerly direction, and we saw that one male initially coming up, head held high, nostrils flared wide open. So it was a sense of smell that helped him to detect these lions. But their eyesight isn't bad. I wouldn't say they have great eyesight, but they could certainly see the lion from where they've been standing on this road. This one's now taking some time to polish up his horns. They'll do this to get rid of small parasites that are specially adapted and designed to actually feed on that keratin sheath that surrounds the bony inner of their horn. And by rubbing up against trees like that, it will remove those little parasites and the eggs that they lay on the horn. So that's what he was doing. Well, who knows, maybe he was polishing up his horns in preparation to fling one of these lions into the air with them, polishing his weaponry. Maybe I should give the lions a little bit more credit here. Like we said earlier, they did move huge distance last night, so they are fatigued probably from all that movement. But more importantly, maybe they've realized that these big buffalo bulls are very worthy opponents, especially without the cover of darkness. If it was after dark now, not only would the lions be more inclined to move, as they are mostly active at night, these specific individuals, but they know it's an incredibly difficult task to safely bring down these large buffalo. If this was a breeding herd of buffalo with cows and young calves, I think their behavior would be very different, because they would know that the chances of them successfully bringing down would be far greater than taking down one of the big bulls. So maybe it's a wise decision on their behalf to avoid any unnecessary injuries and energy expenditure, and rather continue snoozing, as much as most of us, I'm guessing, would prefer otherwise, a little bit of action. Well, this is a first. We've just got a comment through from Bridget, who is sitting a few meters away from us on Taxon's vehicle, and she's mentioned that she's been enjoying listening to my narrating of the scene. Sadly, they've been forced to listen to every word I've said because we parked so close to them. And her question is an interesting one. It's not related to the lions. She would like to know if I'm married or not. So, I'm not married, Bridget. You can see my fingers are all free of metal. Oh, you are though. That's going to be a problem for us. But I do have a girlfriend. So. But it's always wonderful to share this Safari Live product with new people. A lot of people can't believe what is going on, and it may be worth viewers around the world sending out an SMS to a friend telling them to tune in if they would like to see the world's first coalition of vegetarian lions. I certainly had no idea that this concept was around until a friend of mine got a hold of me this time last year and let me know that there was a job going here. So very fortunate after I returned from East Africa that I was told about the Safari Live experience, and I think it should be our duty to tell more people about it. I keep mentioning on Drive, the more people that know about this experience will increase our ability to take you elsewhere in Africa. And as much as I love the Sabi Sands, I'm beginning to get itchy feet and thinking about where else to go and explore, because there are so many wonderful wilderness destinations, not only in South Africa but the surrounding countries, where we can go and see some very different scenery as well as animals and dynamics of animals. And the more people that join in will mean the more places we'll get to go and show you. I guess we could start in Africa and move abroad. Jaguars would be quite nice to film and follow live. We could probably do that from a boat on the Pantanal. Or a live streamed elephant back safari looking for tigers in India would be quite fun. All possible, and maybe going to happen in the future. Well, it looks like the buffaloes have moved off. I can still see one or two hooves moving through the undergrowth, but I'm not expecting to see a massive change in behavior from these lion. And Wendy in Nebraska is still trying to work out why is it that these lion have not done anything, and your guess is as good as mine, Wendy. But yes, the fact that they did move a very large distance last night may be a contributing factor. And not only would they have walked a long distance, but they've maybe spent a lot of time hunting, pursuing buffaloes, chasing them around unsuccessfully. Who knows, maybe they had a run-in with another coalition of male lions. There's so many variables as to what may have gone on last night, and sadly we will never know about. Jen from Idaho has just raised a good topic of discussion, and that is who is dominant out of this coalition. Do we know exactly who's who? And to be honest, Jen, I'm not entirely sure, but I'm guessing that the oldest male, who's slightly bigger than the rest of them, is the most dominant for now. He's got the blondest mane. I think he's the one actually with his head up now. But that will change, and they will continue to challenge one another, mainly at carcasses when feeding, jostling for the best position to feed off, and also when ladies come onto the scene. We're not going to have an almighty fight every time there's a lady who comes into season, but every few months maybe the second ranking male will think about trying to attain the top of the podium, and in order to do that they will have a scrap with one another. But it'll be continually changing throughout the next kind of 5 years that they'll probably reign dominance in this area. Come on, boys. That's better. Go ahead, Steph. Steph's just trying to get a hold of me, so I'm just going to chat with him on the Game Drive channel quickly. Steph, it's just myself here, but sorry, with Taxon, but let me ask him and his guests if they mind if you put the drone up, if that's your plan. Okay, probably not, because there's buffalo and lion in the same sighting here. But let me just ask them. I don't think they will mind if you just put it up for a quick spin. So Steph is interested in trying to get the drone up, and it'll be a wonderful view to see from the air and also get an idea of how many buffalo there are. But because there is another vehicle here, they may not be too happy with the drone buzzing above us. It will be quite high though. Our aim will be not to interfere at all with what's going on here, but just to give you a quick bird's eye view of the scene. So give me a second. Would you guys mind if we just got a drone to come over for a couple of seconds? Okay, well, we've got the thumbs up. Steph, we've got the thumbs up from Taxon's guests for a quick flyby. We are 50 meters north of Ballinati, Zoe's Junction, on Zoe's Road. Buffalo are slightly further north of us. It's such a wonderful new toy that we are busy learning how to use it best, and I think this would be a great opportunity to give you an idea of what exactly is going on. The lion are showing a bit more interest now. I think I was wrong. I think this is the biggest and oldest of the males. It wasn't the one we looked at earlier. And look at how battered he is, battered and scarred. So maybe he's been at the forefront of their battles. I remember when they did take down that young buffalo calf in December last year, the whole herd returned and tried to chase the lion off the young calf. And all four of the other lion were focusing on the calf, whereas that individual that we just saw now, who's quite battle scarred, was standing up to that whole herd, keeping them at bay, allowing the rest of the coalition to dispatch the young buffalo. And after that brief moment of hope that the lion may do something, things appear to have calmed back to a slumber again. Well, back to the topic of hierarchy and who's who within this coalition. Some of you may remember a few days ago when this coalition stumbled upon the Inkohuma lioness who were feeding on the remains of that maggot-infested buffalo. Scrapper, or Tsotsi, depending on which name you prefer, the male with very distinctive eyes and that scar around his eye, was dominant over the other two males that were also trying to feed on the carcass. So we know he's certainly at least third in charge, but there were two males missing from that equation, so I'm not sure where he ranks compared to the other two males. And I know the biggest and oldest male, which is closest to us now, wasn't there competing for the buffalo. So there's something to bear in mind there, that Scrapper's about midway up, certainly the hierarchy, and not at the bottom. And Liz in Wisconsin is actually looking for Scrapper. I've lost track of where he is. I think he's the one with his head furthest to the left there. Andrew, can you remember? Is that him there?
I think that's him.
Yeah. So I think that's him, but we'd need to have him look at us to be sure. Sorry everyone, Andrew's just arrived, he's behind us, so I'm going to have to reposition the vehicle, otherwise he'll have nowhere to go. I didn't hear him there, I actually thought it may be the drone starting up, buzzing. So we'll slot it over here, and now Andrew will have a spot behind us. Okay, well, we're going to send you back to Jamie for a quick change of scenery. It doesn't appear like you're going to miss out on anything here, and you'll be back with us in a few moments.
Well, welcome back, and whilst Scott coordinates some drone efforts, we've just spotted this beautiful male Inyana. He's making his way into the drainage line, but we thought we'd just show him to you quickly. There he goes, disappearing off. I'm making my way towards our eastern boundary. I didn't have any luck with the hyenas coming through from Buffelshoek, but I'm making my way towards the eastern boundary to see if any of those females that we saw tracks of yesterday with the Birmingham boys tracks, I want to see if any of them are around close to Torchwood, because it seems like that's where they disappeared off to. I want to see if they made their way back in any way. Get a little bit of a better handle as to the dynamics that are happening here. Let's go see what we can find. I also heard that you guys saw hippos on the Djuma Dam camera last night. Two adult hippos that looked like they were having a little bit of a disagreement by the sounds of it. And I've been keeping my eye out for hippo tracks to try and figure out where these hippos are coming from. And interestingly, it looks like one of them might have been Bob. I'm not sure if you guys could tell or not on the pictures that you saw, but there were lots of tracks coming from Sydney's dam, and then lots of tracks that have been coming from Buffelshoek Dam. Big tracks. Really interesting to have a little bit more of an idea as to what's happening in Bob's world. We did notice yesterday that he was a little bit injured, a little bit scratched up with elephant roadblock. just wondering if maybe we can get a little bit of an idea, a bit more in the way of clues and supposition, just by watching his tracks and the paths that he follows. It would be interesting to know. We get to follow the lives of things like lions and leopards around here, but we don't really always get to fully grasp some of the other animal dynamics that happen around us. Very interesting to figure out what Bob's story is. I mentioned yesterday, I suspect he's quite an old hippo, and he is a big bull, so he could well have been clashing with another male, probably around Sydney's Dam, just because that's where, as far as I know, that's where the biggest pod or the biggest raft is in this area. Also, the night before that, there was also the reports from various viewers, reports of the fact that there was a baby hippo being harassed by hyena. I followed up as closely as I could, and I went and I checked and double-checked and triple-checked the hyena den for any sign of maybe if it had been killed and dragged there. I couldn't find anything there. I couldn't find any tracks of that little hippo leading out. So Yummy Sphinx, and I'm sure many others, I'm afraid to say I don't have any further conclusions to draw about what happened that night. I think it's just going to remain one of those mysteries. I tried to find tracks of the baby, I tried to find tracks of the hyenas, just so that we could try and figure out exactly what happened. But there's a couple of very tricky drainage lines there, and a lot of activity around the dam. As you know, there's so many different animals that are using those pathways regularly to come and down to drink, that I think there's a chance we might have missed them for that reason. It could just have been that the hippo, a herd of impala, walked down first thing in the morning and obscured the tracks, and it disappeared like that. So it might be a mystery that we never know, but keep your eyes peeled on the Djuma Dam camera, because it might be that you get some kind of update from that. I do have, I believe, John and Kevin to thank for our updates about the 2 hippo from last night, so thank you for that. And please keep watching and keep sending through your updates, as it provides us with such a nice overall view as to what's happening in the world around us, or at least the little parts of Djuma that we get to drive around in. There's so much that we miss that happens at night. It's one of the reasons why the morning is my favorite time to be out in the bush, just because there's always that sense of mystery and wondering what it was that had happened overnight. Lots and lots of ellie activity around. Difficult to capture, but let's see if we can. The helmet shrikes are nest building. Hoping he's going to hop out from behind that branch there. Here he is. He flew off with something in his mouth. They're all flying around me in the bushes there. The interesting thing about helmet shrikes and the fact that it looks like they are nest building. Have you spotted one? Ah, there we go. Beautiful. Oh. First of all, they never sit still. But second of all, they are cooperative breeders. So they'll have the parents, the mother and the father, who will breed, produce offspring, and then the next year, those offspring will stick around and help them look after the nest and the chicks for the next year, until they then get a breeding opportunity and they leave home and they carry on. but a useful little strategy, and it's one that quite a few birds in this area adopt. And interestingly, the hornbills do it as well, so it's very much a strategy that is spread across the species of the various species of birds. And not only do the smaller yellow-billed hornbills do it, but also the bigger brown hornbills. And in this case, it's not the females that stick around. The female offspring are booted out, and the males are the ones who stay to help their parents out. Whilst I continue to drive around and double check what other updates and animals I can show you, Scott is still with those lions, and I believe he has shifted around slightly to get a different view. So let's head across and see what he's seeing, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
Welcome back, everyone. There's been a little bit of shuffling about here, but nothing too serious. There's one male you can see who's just popped himself down in front of us. We have repositioned while you were away. This confirms the fact that these lions are in fact vegetarian. Instead of having buffalo for breakfast, this one has decided to have grass. Sorry, I just needed to move out of the little spot I was sitting in there. It was extremely uncomfortable. I'm only kidding. What this lion is doing is getting ready to purge its stomach, and just like your domestic cats and dogs may do, he's chewing on grass that will make him throw up a little bit later. It can often happen almost instantaneously within a few minutes, so let's watch closely, not always. Wonderful eyes, this male. Kind of burn right through you when he looks at us. Well, I've just heard a great update, and it is nearby to us, and I think we might need to actually rush off. And we're going to do it. Jamie's not close by, but a leopard has been found by Taxon, who's just left the sighting. Stefan was also making his way there. There was Monkey's alarm calling that led Taxon into that area, and he has found a leopard, so let's rush off there, because I don't think Jamie's very close. In that area, our small vehicle is going to be the best one to try and stay with the animal. Copy that, Tex, I'm on my way. I'm just coming down Finn's Road or Rebecca's. Make a plan later on. I just want to get into this area, like I say, just to make sure we secure the sighting of the leopard, that it doesn't get lost, and then we can make another plan thereafter as to maybe Jamie can take over or Jamie can go to the line, but we will make a plan. I just want to make sure we don't miss out on this action. Text, missed your last message. I missed the whole of your last message. Is it stationary or mobile? Okay, copy. And best access is great news. This female leopard's actually managed to catch one of the monkeys that was alarm calling. Although Texas just said on the radio he's not 100% sure, so let's not waste it as soon as possible and work out what is exactly going on. We're only about 30 seconds away. Still hear the monkey's alarm calling now. Taxon's vehicle, so I'm sure the leopard's not far away. I'm going to stop here for now. You got it there, Andrew?
I got it.
She's just under this fallen down branch. And you can see she's trying to pluck the fleur off whatever she's caught. Shame those monkeys are still shouting desperately nearby. It looks like it could be KARULA. Hard to tell her there with the monkeys shouting. I'm just going to reposition ever so slightly and try and get a better view. I have to squeeze into some thorn bushes here, but it should work out well. This made up for the sleepy lions, I guess. So here we've got a bit of a better view. I'm guessing that it is a monkey that this leopard has caught. Please feel free to send us in your thoughts as to who you think it is. Oh yeah, shame it's a monkey. And the rest of the troop are shouting desperately in vain. Now, as sad as this is, we must remember that the skill involved for this leopard to have caught one of these monkeys is so immense. These monkeys are incredibly switched on, they've got great eyesight, they're extremely alert. There's often many of them in a troop, many eyes and ears to help spot a leopard. So for her to successfully pull off this stunt does require, or does need a bit of respect, but there are going to be some quite sad images here. He's done a good job plucking a lot of the fur off that monkey. That's what you can see, the spine and its back exposed there. She might be a little bit concerned now because these monkeys have been alarming for quite some time. She's going to be concerned that other predators may approach. Those lion could even come to investigate. Hyena could come onto the scene. She just took a moment there to lift up her head, look around, and make sure there was no threats on the way. But if these monkeys do continue to alarm as they are, I'm guessing we could see some other predators arriving. I know we don't have the best view for now, but we're in a bit of a tight spot here. Sadly, none of the monkeys are clearly in view, but you can still hear them very clearly, shouting desperately. I think it's the big male of the troop that we can hear shouting now. But like I said earlier, for these predators to survive, they do require to kill other animals. And we just need to keep reminding ourselves of that, especially if some of you are feeling a little bit emotional or sad for this monkey. Of course, it's unfortunate for the monkey or any prey item that does get killed, but it's an unavoidable requirement for these beautiful cats to survive. Now, I touched on a little bit earlier how skillful she must have been to be able to catch one of these monkeys. And Margaret on Twitter would like to understand, how do I think she actually would have managed to catch one? Did she jump up in the tree to catch it? I doubt it. I think the most probable way that she would have caught this monkey is she would have been lying in ambush somewhere close to where we are now. And these monkeys were moving between trees along the ground, and that's when she would have been able to ambush one. For her to catch them in their most natural environment, most comfortable environment, where they are at ease and extremely agile, which is up in the trees, it would be very, very difficult. Now, I have seen documentaries on leopard that do specialize on hunting monkeys and baboons in trees. So it is a possible theory that does sometimes happen, but in this case I'm almost certain that she would have caught it on the ground. The monkeys are much smaller than her. They can easily get to the thinner terminal branches of the trees to avoid being caught, whereas on the ground, when they're running between trees, the leopard is going to have the advantage over them. I'm wondering if we should reverse a tiny bit, Andrew. Will that help you? Possibly.
Yeah.
Oh. There we go. That's as good as it's going to get for now. Well, the brief glimpse that I did get of this leopard earlier through my binoculars, I thought it was KARULA. I'm happy to hear that Georgianne in Illinois also believes it's KARULA. This left side of her muzzle that she's displaying now has got 4 clear black spots above the dotted black whisker line. And if she faces us again, she's got quite an interesting spot pattern on her forehead that spells out "wow." So let's look for that if she faces us front on again. She's just making sure no predators are approaching now. It's also tiring business plucking and chewing and feeding on this kill. So having a little bit of a breather, making sure there's no threats approaching. And you'll be happy to hear that Jamie is heading towards the Birmingham Coalition, so if they do get their act together, we're not going to miss out on any action there. And it'll be great for her to also get to spend some time with them this morning. So that's the plan there. And sadly, she was just a little bit too far off to make it worthwhile for her to respond to the sighting, and I knew we were much closer by, so that's why I rushed off here. Had she have been closer, she naturally would have slotted into this position. Now what is going to be very interesting is to see what this leopard does after it finishes this kill, because we are speculating that she could have some cubs hidden out somewhere below the Buffels Hook Dam wall, and if she heads back into that area, that will give us good confirmation that we are in fact correct. And also what we'll be able to see hopefully during the sighting, wow, look at all that fur she's plucking off. What we'll also be able to see during the sighting as she moves around is whether she has got clear suckle marks around her nipples. That will also be a sure indicator that she does in fact have cubs. So we could gain some very, very interesting information as the morning unfolds. And what it also means is that maybe there's a chance for the drone to get up above the Birmingham boys and show you where those buffalo are in relation to them, now that all the other vehicles have left the scene. It's something that we are still trying and testing, and even though we asked permission from Andrew's guests and Taxon's guests that both happily said yes to the drone flying above them, we probably just need to work out a better system and protocol for the drone when there are other vehicles around, because we certainly don't want to interfere and interrupt on anybody's experience whilst out here on safari. So we are erring on the side of caution, but now that there's nobody with the lions other than Jamie, the drone is a possibility. So let's see if we can reposition one more time. She looks quite comfortable there. Strung up here in a thorn bush, but thankfully most of the thorns have actually been broken. Leave the vehicle running until Andrew gets us a bit tighter so I can see where the best gap is going to be. Hopefully there. Well, hello to Asad in India, and good to hear you on safari with us this morning. Asad has heard that once a leopard is full bellied, it will not be required to feed for a few days. And that's entirely correct, Asad. But what is not true is that they will not necessarily not be inclined to make a kill, even though a predator can be full-bellied. Oh, look at it battling with that fur. Imagine having a mouthful of fur in your mouth. It must be quite a strange and unpleasant sensation. So Asad, what will happen though, even though this leopard may be full-bellied after feeding on this monkey, if another hunting opportunity presents itself to her, she's not going to forego it. She's going to make the most of it, capitalize on that situation, and to sum things up and put things in perspective, on a few occasions I've seen leopard with 2 different kills hoisted in 2 different trees close to one another. and that's testament to how opportunistic they are. Also, I was discussing earlier with the Birmingham boys how even though they were feeding on a buffalo, the opportunity presented itself for them to catch another one, so they got up, left the buffalo that they were busy feeding on, and went and caught another one. And then they had 2 buffalo, which is obviously better than 1. But still on that topic, the big cats can go for 3 to 5 days without a meal, quite comfortably. And certainly don't need to make kills every single day. Interesting that she's getting a little bit snarly here. Taxon's just repositioned the vehicle. She's typically not a snarler, this leopard. And maybe it's because she's a tired mother of 2 or 3 newborn cubs that's causing her to be a little bit moody. That's plausible. It's something worth discussing and mentioning. When leopards and lions do have cubs, even if they're usually very, very relaxed with our presence, both in the vehicles and on foot, which I know KARULA is, she's extremely relaxed with our presence. When they've got cubs, that nature and mentality will change quite drastically, and you can expect very angry and violent mothers, especially if you're walking around near their cubs. And that's completely understandable. She's going to be incredibly protective of them. But more than just that, we can relate to humans, and a mother who's just given birth to a child is probably going to be short on sleep and a little bit more moody than normal. Oh. She just can't seem to get comfortable, can she, here? This is going to be quite graphic, just to warn you guys. Looks like she's getting really stuck in now. Now that she's standing up, we must look closely for any suckle marks. No, I can't see any, but look closely there. This will be a great moment to see if, in fact, she has been suckling her cubs. That's why Andrew's trying to stay still. Oh, that moment's just disappeared. And Margaret's just asked on Twitter if it's been confirmed that KARULA in fact does have cubs, and no, there's no confirmations yet, just a few. Oh, sorry girl. Just a few brief murmurings and rumors, essentially speculations, that she could be. Aubrey said he seemed to see suckle marks the other night, but it was a brief sighting. She was on the move, and it could have just been his mind playing tricks on him, wishful thinking. So there's no confirmed photos or sightings that I'm happy with to be able to clarify that she is in fact bearing cubs at the moment. Oh, the sun's just poked out, surprisingly. Beautiful. I'm just going to take my jersey off quickly because it is heating up a bit. If you hear any shuffling around, that's what's going on. And Lisa G on Twitter asks a good question. Did anyone actually get to see this hunt unfold? And no, sadly not. By the time Taxon arrived here, she had already caught the monkey. So nobody got to see the chase. We don't know exactly what happened, but I speculate that she caught these monkeys while they were moving between trees, running along the ground. As good as leopards are at climbing, I think it's fair to say that monkeys are better. and a lot more comfortable high up in the canopies of the trees, where it would be easy to evade this leopard's presence. Also, while they are up in a tree, they've got such a good vantage point over the surrounding area that they would see the leopard approaching, whereas when they're running along the ground, they certainly don't have that bird's eye view. Now, this monkey probably got the fright of its life as this leopard exploded out of the bush, probably very, very close to it. Leopards will only start to chase their prey from 5 to 10 meters away. So they'll lie in ambush or try and creep to that close, 5 to 10 meters, before exploding after their prey. They need to be exceptionally close. And who knows, maybe in this case KARULA got to just lie down and wait, and the monkey could have almost run directly into her. It looks like the rest of the troop have moved off. I can't see any other members, but they do form close bonds, these troops, and I guess they are our closest relatives out here. So they are definitely going to be mourning the loss of one of their members. Well, thanks so much for all your questions and comments. The next ones come through from Debbie, also on Twitter. And she would like to know, why has she not hoisted the kill into a tree yet? And it's more comfortable to feed on the ground, would be the major reason why she's still feeding here and not up in a tree. What she could have done, which probably would have been more wise than staying where she is drag it at least to the base of a marula tree. That way, if anything did arrive on the scene, lion or hyena, she could decide whether she would like to sacrifice the kill, depending on how quickly they approach her, and run up the tree to safety, or grab the kill in her mouth, which is probably what she would do because it's a small kill which will be easy to carry up into a tree, and then take both herself and the kill out of harm's way. Now, the reason why she hasn't done that, I can't tell. I mean, she is at the base of this kind of small jackalberry tree that's gnarled and bent and turned over, which would be sufficient protection and height against hyena, but definitely not against lion. So she is taking a bit of a chance here, and I've noticed with leopards they'll never always do the same thing. Some female leopards that I've followed for many, many years, one day they'll hoist a kill, the next day they won't. One day they'll drag the kill to the base of the tree, the other day they won't. So difficult to understand why. Sometimes they do, because clearly there are benefits to erring on the safe side, whereas sometimes they do not. As Andrew zooms in, be ready for some graphic shots here again. It appears like she's eating part of the intestines, like a piece of spaghetti. And not much goes to waste out here. And she will probably consume this whole kill, possibly even the skull. She'll be able to crunch through. Oh no. Now what she's going to do is she's going to squeeze the intestines between her top and bottom jaws to force all of the content within the intestines out of it before swallowing it. So she's interested in the intestinal lining or tube, but obviously not interested in all the vegetable matter that this monkey would have been feeding on. So you can see her now trying her best to squeeze the contents out of this tube before swallowing it, much like a big piece of spaghetti. just want to see if we can maybe... Should we roll back a bit, Andrew? Will that help? No, she's moving again. Yummy Sphinx. That's a name I haven't heard before. Good to have you on the safari with us. And Yummy Sphinx has asked if lion and hyena are the only predators that this leopard needs to be concerned about. No, certainly not. So thank you for asking that question. A big male leopard would come in and steal this kill from the female without battering an eyelid. So that is another potential threat to her kill, not really to her, because all it would be interested in is the easy meal. So that is another threat that could steal from her but not harm her. Another threat that could both steal and harm from her are wild dog. I've seen many circumstances where a pack of wild dog come roaring into a leopard's kill, and the leopard will flee up into the tree. Even if she doesn't have a kill, she would flee up into the tree. They don't take chances with wild dog, but sadly there haven't been many wild dog moving through the property recently. So that's an unlikely candidate to happen this morning, but certainly possible on another day or elsewhere in Africa. So those will be the main predators. Cheetahs rank lower than leopard in hierarchy and strength. So cheetah wouldn't come in here taking any chances. Even though this is a female leopard, cheetah tend to avoid them. And rightfully so. I've seen some footage of a leopard in a tree with both antelope as well as a cheetah dangling on one branch, and what happened is the leopard saw the cheetah make the kill. While the cheetah was busy feeding on the kill, the leopard came in, killed the cheetah and put them both up into the tree. So that can happen. Okay, well, on her way to find the Birmingham coalitions, Jamie has found a breeding herd of elephants that she would like to show you. So we're going to shoot you across there and call you back if anything exciting happens.
Welcome back, and just a quick time to say hello to the herd of elephants that we have moving around us. They're all around us in quite a thick block here in the drainage line, but it's such a nice view of them all that we just had to get you here quickly to show you. I am on my way to those Birmingham boys to see what they're doing, but I can never resist stopping for an elephant. They're slowly making their way across the southern boundary. I think it might even be that herd that we were with yesterday, but I'm not too sure. I haven't seen any of the easily identifiable ones. But there's definitely a couple of really big females in the block. And a very sweet mom and baby combination who are busy annihilating what looks like a weeping wattle. Munching away. Very, very nice view of them. Not often that we get to view elephants from above like this. And it was quite a nice surprise. It just goes to show that you never know what you're going to find on a live safari. It's been quite the action-packed morning, and what an amazing sighting you've been having with KARULA and Scott. It sounds incredible. Sometimes the action is just all around you first thing in the morning. Little one. Already starting to secrete from temporal glands. Might even have had a run-in with a cousin. It resulted in a little bit of stress, or could possibly even have been playing and excitable. Those temporal glands serve a lot of purposes, so the liquid that was running down that little one's face is an indicator of mood. And a very deep rumble from somewhere in the bushes Could well be a matriarch saying it's time to move off. Or just a contact call between the herd members, just to let them know where she is. Mom's decided to eat on the run. Devouring that poor weeping wattle. I've essentially halved it in size in the 5 minutes that I've been sitting watching them. And now onto a knobthorn. She's got interesting tusks, a very clear size difference between the right and the left, and that probably actually came about by snapping rather than by wearing one down. I think that tusk on the right probably snapped off at some point, and she just reshaped it into a point. Covered in green underneath her trunk. Hello, big girl. Awesome to have her walking right next to us and underneath us. She closed her eyes. As wonderful as this elephant sighting is, I really just wanted to show you them quickly before moving on to the Birmingham boys, and I don't want to keep you away from that amazing sighting of the Queen of Juma. So for now, let's head back across to Scott, and I will catch up with you a little bit later once I'm with those lions.
Welcome back, everyone. And KARULA continues to snack on her vervet monkey kill. It'll be interesting to see how long it takes for her to finish it. The other day she killed a steenbuck, and we were actually lucky enough to see her catch the steenbuck moments after we had tracked her and found her on foot. So that was a first for me, seeing a kill on foot. But she finished that entire steenbuck in one sitting. Jamie was in that sighting, and I'm guessing this is going to be no different. She looked to be quite empty-stomached when she stood up earlier, so she's probably been quite desperate for a meal. I hope that she does finish it quickly and then lead us back to the possibility of a den site where she could be hiding some tiny newborn cubs. So that is a possibility. But I think time is against us. I'm not convinced she'll be able to finish this kill within the next hour. But time will tell, so let's watch and see. What a morning it's been. Lions, elephants, buffalo, leopard. 4 out of the big 5. Sadly, we will never be able to tick off the 5th member of the big 5 for you, the rhinoceros, as we choose not to show them, as we do not want to in any way assist poachers in knowing their location, even though the chance of a poacher watching our show and then coming and shooting a rhino is between slim and 0. We don't want to take any chances. So sadly, that is why we will not show you rhino. And it's not only about the big 5, don't get me wrong, but a lot of people who do come out to Africa, their goal is to leave having seen the big 5. Interestingly enough, the big 5 was created by the Hunting Society, and it's the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt in Africa. So it's actually got nothing to do with size. The name could be misleading. A leopard would certainly not come anywhere close to being in the big 5 if it was size related. Hippo, giraffe, and many other animals are far larger than the leopard. But thankfully, now a lot of people's goals are not to shoot these animals with a gun, but rather to shoot them with a camera. And they're not always around the bigger stars of the show, so it's nice when we do have a morning filled with them. A lot of you who have been joining in for many safaris over the last few months and years would have realized that sometimes it's the birds and the butterflies and the bushes that are the stars of the show, because there's no sign of any of the more regular characters. Now, I'm told that a lot of you feel that we are ruining this leopard's morning because she snarled once or twice at Taxon as he repositioned his vehicle, and she also turned around and snarled once or twice at us. Well, obviously she's ever so slightly unhappy with us, and that's why she is snarling. Why, I'm not too sure. I've never seen her snarl at us. One of her sons, Kunuma, was more prone to snarling at us. But please don't be confused and don't think that we are ruining her morning, because if that was the case, she would get up and carry her kill into some thick bush where we cannot see her. So, and it looks like she's going to do that now. She's just repositioning, I'm only joking. But our intentions are certainly not to interfere or interrupt with this lady's morning. And for those viewers who are panicking and feel like we are ruining it, please calm down to a mild panic and realize that that certainly is not the case. Looks like she's making good headway now. This is a relatively small kill for a leopard. It would be easy for her to finish in one sitting. Ah, interesting. Look who's arrived. It could very well be the same buffalo that were dangerously close to the Birmingham boys a bit earlier. You might see a few dark shadows moving through the undergrowth in the background. There we go. So this could make things interesting. If these buffaloes catch wind of the leopard, they will chase her. But I don't think they're going to be too concerned. The wind is also, I think, in the leopard's flavor, blowing from the leopard towards us, and the buffalo are on the other side of us. I don't think they are going to catch wind of her. And they'll be far less concerned of a leopard as they would be for a lion. She's now going about trying to do some more plucking of the fur. And I've actually never seen a leopard feed on a vervet monkey from start to finish. So it'll be interesting to see what she does do with that segment of tail. Come on, what's wrong? I'm convinced that her snarly behavior is due to the fact that she is a tired mother of new cubs. This is the first time I've seen her behaving like this. Now, Shawnee on Twitter is questioning the members of the Big Five, and why is it that the hippopotamus was not included, because they kill more people in Africa than any other animal. Shawnee, a lot of the people that hippo kill are not necessarily hunters, and like I said, this was a collection of animals decided upon by big game hunters, the 5 most dangerous animals to hunt. But I still do agree with you. I think, personally, a hippo would be more dangerous to hunt than a rhino, possibly, but certainly the 4 most dangerous animals to hunt would be lion, leopard, elephant, and buffalo. But a debate could be had as to which rhino you are hunting. If you're hunting the white rhino, it would be far less dangerous than hunting a black rhino.
Well, welcome back, and we do apologize for that brief moment of signal breakup. As you can see, VM and myself have returned to the position of the Birmingham boys, where they are still resting quite happily in the shade. And what a surprise, these 5 have just decided that they honestly can't be bothered with that kind of thing this morning. They're quite happy to be lying down and resting. It's quite a nice opportunity to really have a look at the individuals. Oh, sorry, was about to sneeze but disappeared again. You can get an idea of very soon, which all of a sudden the weather's changed once again and it's sunny and boiling. It's very interesting how that's happened. And there's our third one. I think at this point I have to start thinking up names for all 5 of them. The point of seeing them fairly regularly. I also did keep an eye out for the signs of any females. I couldn't see any, so that I travelled here alone. I didn't see any tracks of any lionesses coming through. But I think wildebeest and I have seen about. I wonder if that one hadn't picked up on the fact there were lions around and decided to go to ground. Oh, very sleepy. I'm going to just just have a look with my binoculars. Now, I've been scanning them fairly carefully to see what they've, try and get a hint of what they've been up to. And if we have a look at the individual lying to the right there, he's got a puncture wound on his shoulder. I'm not sure if we can see it from the view that we're at, or if Scott has mentioned it. But he does have a little bit of a hole on his shoulder. You can't actually see it. I'm going to reposition slightly. I think it's right behind that plant from where Liam is. Let me shift forward. I'm not sure as to whether or not Scott commented on that. It's not too deep, but the flies are definitely targeting it at the moment. There you go, you can see that hole in his shoulder. And there's a very good chance that that came from one of his coalition members. There will be a lot of aggression and fighting between males of this age, especially given the level of testosterone that they have. And I'm not sure, it's hard to tell while he's lying down, but he looks to be one of the youngest and smallest individuals. So he might have been in a scrap with the others. And there's the lion we've nicknamed Scrapper, who's just lifted his head now. And I'm going to reposition so we can have a look at him in a moment. I mentioned before that he seems to be, if not the instigator, he certainly has developed quite a personality. He was one of the parties young age, and that rather diminished mane, which still needs to come in. He's still looking very young. He's proving to be quite the powerhouse within this coalition. Here you can hear it. They've heard it as well, so it's attracted their attention, but they're not stressed out about it. It's only the one male on the left who's paid any attention. And he's now refocused on us. Let's... There. So the lights are just in front of us. Go, you should be able to see them now in the middle of your screen, just those tawny coloured blobs hiding under bushes. Inching its way a little bit closer to come and have a look. How amazing is this, that you get to get this view from the aerial? I promise you the lions are there. You should be able to see Scrapper at least at some point soon. They are completely unperturbed. There you go, now you can see him. He's looking up at you from his vantage point. Hi everybody.
God.
How amazing is this? There you go, see those little flashes of tawny. Look carefully, you might be able to see them sitting next to us. Completely relaxed, still fast asleep. And we're coming back down to the ground so you can have a look at our lions. Welcome back. And every now and again they give it a little bit of a glance and then decide it's not really worth their attention. You can see this boy is fairly relaxed with the whole thing. It's interesting, they're so relaxed and sleepy, but every now and again you look into their eyes and you're just reminded of everything that's happened over the last few months and what they've done, acting purely on instinct. He's looking straight at me now. No, he's bored with that though. Oh, quick look up at the drone. Nope, not of interest to him. Eyelids are starting to droop again. These five boys are not going to be up to very much right now from his perspective. So have a wonderful trip across the skies, and I will catch up with you a little bit later.
And welcome back. I'm not too sure how well we executed that narration and flight across to us with the drone, but it is a new toy that we are playing with and experimenting with, and you get to see these experiments firsthand. I hope you enjoyed the flight, and it really is a wonderful addition to our team, the drone, because it provides you with some never before seen views, even for us who get to explore this area daily, just to see what it looks like in the air. It's something very unique and wonderful. Well, we are not in the best position, as you can tell, but we are trying to give Karula her space, as she seems a little bit moody this morning and don't want to put any unnecessary pressure on her. We're happy to just sit here and watch her finish off the remains of this vervet monkey that she killed probably about an hour ago. It's hard to tell how much of it's left, but she is making her way through it at quite a rapid rate. If you listen carefully, you'll actually be able to hear her powerful jaws crunching through the bones. Slowly crunching away her kill. I sadly though can't see how much is left from here. I'm guessing not off. But let's just wait and see. Hopefully the picture would have also been resolved then, the picture problems that we're currently experiencing. Like I said, it's tiring business feeding on the kill, so every now and then she's stopping, giving her jaw muscles a break and catching her breath. The last part of the kill that she is going to have to deal with is the skull. And I'm going to be interested to see if her jaws are powerful enough to crush through the skull to get to the brain. I think she's certainly going to try and do that. But it will be the last part of this feeding process. She's just stopped now and was looking off to her right. Possibly she heard some rustling in the grass and was just making sure it wasn't a hyena or anything else approaching. But now she's calmed down and is back to feeding. And happy to hear that picture is back and see again. So, I mean, I think they would like more kills, but in the same breath, a large kill that they can hoist into a tree and have is back and see again. So, I mean, I think they would like more kills, but in the same breath, a large kill that they can hoist into a tree and have a pantry of meat to feed on over a period of days would also be useful. Then at least she doesn't have to worry about where her next meal is coming from, and she can focus on nursing her cubs and looking after them. But I mean, at the moment she's quite far from where we propose she may have her den. So even if hyena and lion did come onto the scene, it wouldn't be too much of an issue because they are very, very far from the cubs, if there are in fact any cubs. Interestingly, there was quite a lot of hyena tracks on the road that runs closest to the riverbed where we presume she may have these cubs. So let's hope that they didn't actually find the den and dispatch those cubs. There is a chance that that has already happened. And last time this female leopard had cubs, nobody actually saw more than one cub ever. We saw that she had suckle marks. We knew that she had cubs, maybe 1, 2 or 3. Usually it's 2 though. But the first time eyes were laid on one of the remaining cubs, minutes later a hyena came onto the scene and killed them, or killed it. So had we had not been there that morning, both lion and leopard. Maladi on Twitter would like to know how old we think the cubs might be. Blind and helpless for their first kind of 10 days of life, and then their eyes start opening and they can start shuffling around a little more. But for now, they'll be tiny, little, helpless, very, very cute leopards. And in the coming weeks, we may have hills to feed on. It's naturally quite a dangerous place to be, lion and hyena. I just got a comment through from Anna Marie saying how much she loves listening to this leopard eat, and it is a wonderful thing to hear. It can actually be a great way to help find leopards. When on the trail of them, it's important to listen out for the potential crunching of bones. And on a few circumstances in my career, I have been lucky enough to hear the sound of the leopard crunching through its prey, which helped us to get into the sighting or actually find the leopard. I wish we had a slightly better view to see how much of the killer's left, but like I said earlier, she does seem a little bit moody this morning, so we will take heed to the few snarls that she gave us a little bit earlier and not get closer to her. And looks like most of the clouds, these low-lying clouds that were surrounding us earlier, have been burnt off by the rising sun. And Carol on Twitter would like to know if it's a hot day. And yes, it's certainly in the last half an hour or so has started heating up quite a lot. It's about 28 degrees Celsius, 82 degrees Fahrenheit. Whereas when we headed out earlier on this morning, it was probably around 10 degrees Celsius. So it's heating up. And it's a very moist, humid heat that we get in the summer months in the low veldt. So I'm really beginning to get a few beads of sweat on my forehead. Thankfully though, there's a gentle breeze blowing, which is helping to keep us cool. But it certainly is heating up to a scorcher, and Andrew did mention a few moments ago that the pool at Inga's house, where some of us stay, is going to be getting some attention between the drives. We're going to send you back to Jamie for a quick update on what's happening on her side of the world, and we'll be waiting here with KARULA for your return.
Welcome back, and as you can see, not much has changed in the world of the Birmingham boys. Whilst you were with Scott, the only thing that happened was I had a bit of a brief staring competition with the one nicknamed Scrapper. We stared at each other for quite a long time. I like to think that I won. Before he put his head down, he admittedly might have just been a bit sleepy. But still an interesting experience when you can sit and stare into the eyes of a lion. And then he decided to get up. And he definitely looks very peaceful. These boys are big. They're substantial in size, considering that they are young. But Gloria, you were wondering, of all the lion prize in the area, which one has the largest male lion. Now, I don't know, I'm not that well acquainted with the lion, or all of the lion prides in this area. Obviously, there's some places where I haven't been able to go. I will tell you, though, that the 2 Matimba males that were kicked out by these 5 young boys were probably some of the biggest lions I've ever seen in my life, especially Hairy Belly, who was absolutely massive. So in terms of the largest lions that I've personally seen in this area, and I've seen the Salatis, I've seen the Birminghams, the Matimbas were hands down the biggest that were around here. So I hope that fills you in. In terms of the rest of the lions, I haven't seen the Majingalanis. I know that the Styx males are still quite young, but the Matimbas were absolutely enormous. They're now on Londolozi causing havoc there, which is something that none of us really predicted, but there you go. It's just one of those things. Oh, it's been a wonderful morning. It's been an action-packed morning and some incredible time spent with some amazing animals. We really did quite the whistle-stop tour of all the big 5, or at least the big 4, that we see around here. It's been wonderful to have all of your questions and your updates, and thank you as always for sharing your views with us. And a big thank you to the wildebeest for all of his fantastic camera work and incredible spotting this morning. And I will catch up with you on the Sunset Safari. Have a wonderful day wherever you are in the world, ladies and gentlemen. I will see you then.
Welcome back, everyone. And it looks like KARULA may have fished feeding on this monkey, because she stopped filming herself. Still can't see very clearly, even though we have repositioned, but at any moment she could get up and keep moving. I'm guessing towards the Juma waterhole. Here. Contributions this morning. It's been a wonderful, wonderful morning. We got off incredibly lucky finding those Birmingham lions on foot with you guys right there to see it all happen. And then we got that call from Taxon that he had just found the leopard here that we're looking at, along with the vervet monkey kill that it looks like she's just finished off. Jamie also got to show you some wonderful animals along the way. I seem to hear that for the last few moments of the show we're going to take a bit of an aerial tour of what is going on at Juma from the drone. Thanks again, and well done to Jess and Nikki in the final control room. And Andrew, great camera work. Enjoy the bird's eye view. The drone is just above us, so you should be able to see us shortly. See you later.